Hi guys. I wanted to do a video to follow up to something that I did yesterday. Uh, I'm not one to post a lot of deeply personal stuff to social media because I think that it can have great consequences, and I'm not the person that wants people to know all of those private things about me, because it does have a tendency to instigate bad behavior in other people. And it just feels really counterproductive. However, uh, yesterday was such a discombobulating day that I posted something really raw and deeply emotional to my Facebook, because I needed to be able to kind of scream into the void. I will say that the response that I've had to it from the people that I know has been incredibly helpful, and thank you. I did not want to be resilient my whole life. I did not want to have to be the person that was constantly fighting against so many things just to be okay. But I'm human. I'm going to keep my humanity. Yesterday, unfortunately, I found out that my biological father died. I was very surprised, but what was upsetting was that he didn't just die. He died in February, and nobody reached out to let me or my sister know that that had happened, that that occurred. And yet, whoever took the liberty to write his obituary named us in his obituary. And what was more upsetting was that it was a bunch of lies about how he loved his daughters and he did all of these things. None of that was true. And worse, the author of his obituary misspelt my name. That was it. That really just put me over the edge. And I say that because one of the challenges that I don't think people understand is that quantum was an idea that was designed to divide. And children don't get to decide whether or not they belong to their people. It is the parent who gets to decide whether or not they belong to those people. So, if a child is not registered by their parent, or doesn't qualify because they opted to have relationship outside of their tribe, not outside of their ethnicity, outside of their tribe, what happens is that a child loses their quantum. So if a kid born to a Leech Lake tribal member and that tribal member is 100% Leech, but the other parent is, say, out of Red Lake, those two communities are the same in that they're all Ojibwe people, but because they're separate tribes, if both of the parents are 100% of their individual tribes, that child is only considered 50%. That is insane. How is it that you categorize and characterize human beings the way you do dogs, the way you do bred animals? I don't understand that. And what's worse is that was intentionally set up to remove the resources from the native people under the treaties. And instead of it being just about taking away resources, what the government did and what the native tribes agreed to was that they would absolutely take whatever they could get according to what the standard was set at. And if children were left behind, it wasn't their problem. Wasn't their problem. So what they did was they removed rights of children to who they come from, to where they belong, to their own ancestry. So my biological father, my quantum is unknown at this point because his birth certificate was sealed. But I can guarantee you I'm going to get a death certificate because I'm done playing with all of this bullshit. And I shouldn't have to fight for my quantum. But the reality is that he did nothing to support that. And when he gave up his rights, he also gave up my rights to my own people. So I never got to have a relationship with my grandparents. I never got to have a relationship with my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, anybody. And the crappiest part about that was that my mother, my biological mother who raised me, supported this idea and told me my entire life that I was not Native. I'm sorry. If you look at my face, do I look like a white girl? Because I'm not. I may have white lineage, but I don't pass. And because I don't pass, I have had to fight my entire life to just exist. I'm exhausted with it. I'm frustrated with how quantum shows up as a qualifier for being an ethnic group. It's ridiculous. This is where I come from. I know this. I'm judged because of that. I struggle with just dealing with the daily things that most people don't have to think about. Everybody in my world is white, and I have to fight to just move through the world in ways that are normal for a lot of other people. I'm tired of it. And it's based on this quantum piece. One of the things I mentioned in my post, and this is the thing that I really want to bring to light, when you leave brown-bodied children in a white world without connection to where they come from, they are unprotected. They don't get the same conversations about safety. They don't get the same conversations about risks, and they don't have that same sense of belonging because nobody around them experiences the world in a way that they do. I'm sorry, that's fact. The way I talked to my brown-bodied son was more about his safety in the world and how do you deal with difficult people and how do you deal with law enforcement and how do you deal with all of these things that you're going to be questioned on, because the second you're no longer a child and you look like a grown-ass man, you're going to be treated differently. I don't think that is like something, that's not something that mainstream culture, the white world, understands. And so when you leave brown-bodied children disconnected from other brown-bodied people, you leave them at risk. You leave them unprotected. You leave them naive to the realities, unfortunately, of what happens to this in this world. I was born in 1971, and I was born in an era before there were protections for Native children. And there is still not protection for Native children because it is, like I said, it is up to the parent to register a child. It is up to the parent to determine their child's connection to the tribe. And that is wrong. It is wrong to the point that I needed to scream about it on social media. I'm not sorry for calling this out. I will say that I'm sorry if it's offending people, because it's going to offend people. I know it will. But if you haven't walked in my shoes, you don't get to have an opinion about this. My world has been turned upside down on an ongoing basis because of the way I look, because I happen to be the doppelganger to my biological father. And it's been a really difficult struggle in this lifetime. It shouldn't be. And what's made it so much worse is not how I it's not how I've had to move through the white world and find a way to say, hey, I exist. It is the fact that I have not had support from other brown bodied people, because they too have bought into the lie that quantum matters. It's not okay. I really, really hope that if somebody out there is struggling with just trying to like figure out why they feel invisible, figure out why they don't feel like they're connected, and they're fighting with a world that they don't look like and they don't feel like they belong in, that they will consider the fact that it's not their fault. Children don't get to choose the path that their parents take. And the unfortunate reality is that they still have to be responsible to fix the mess that their parents leave behind when they cause this kind of damage. Damn. Sorry. I am working to kind of grieve a lot of this right now, if you cannot tell. This is what happens when you forget to deal with something in trauma therapy. 7 years in that shit, and I forgot that this one might pop back up. I thought I had resolved through a lot of these pieces, and it is very apparent I have more layers to pull back on this one. For those of you that were really supportive on my post, thank you very much. For those of you that relate to any of this, let me know. I would love to start a community of support, because it's not okay. The next generation is already suffering. I see it in the hospital all the time. I just wanted to put this out here. I wanted to give a little more explanation as to why I was so upset and needed to post what I needed to post last night. For those of you that are feeling this alongside of me, I appreciate that. I really do. I'm going to try and get through the day. I have a few days off, and I'm going to try and do some of my own recovery. I'm going to try and keep my shit together, or at least not make it so public that people are like concerned about me. I'm okay. I appreciate everybody listening. I really do. I'll give follow-up in the next few days. In the meantime, I'm gonna meditate and yell at my ancestors and relatives who are on the other side already, because I'm pissed. And I'm gonna do what I can to make sure I'm okay, because at the end of the day, I'm responsible for me. And I hope you guys have a decent day. Have a good day. I'm gonna try and do the same. Thanks for listening.